What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Not Financial Advice. This is episode 15. I am joined by Toby. I don't want to say your last name because you probably don't want me to. And Cooper J. Calder. And I am your lovely host, Yusuf Ritter.
My middle name's not a J, but yeah.
Just the letter J.
Yeah, so what are we going to be discussing today, Toby?
We're going to be talking about Gen Z finance. Now, that's sort of...
It sounds very cringe.
It does.
That sounds...
Because it is.
Kind of like how our generation sort of deals with the finance.
Exactly.
Because you decided to do it.
It's... Okay, the title... Okay, the Gen Z part sounds super cringe because anything Gen Z related is just very cringe. But I mean, I think it's a very important topic because our generation and the generation before us has had such different experiences that, like, this is like a new realm. And there's a lot of shit going down for that because everything is so different for us because of the internet and Wi-Fi and TikTok. One thing I want to talk about is how fucked our generation is. All right? Think about it. Global warming and the ice caps melting and all that shit, all the problems and like world hunger and stuff, all the world's problems are being dumped on us, right? There's all these like boomers. They're like, yeah, let's make all these like horrible decisions and these billion-dollar oil conglomerates, and then it's kind of like our generation who actually has to like deal with like the side effects of that. Like they make all the money, then they die, and we're just like shit. You know, fucking ocean levels are rising. So I think that's god damn it. One thing I have is like this generation mentally they're quite weak. Like mental fortitude. I wrote that down.
There's going to be a comment. There's going to be a comment that's going to say Dunning-Kruger effect, prime example.
But I'm
don't give them ideas, Cooper.
This is a very big generalization, but I think just like the amount of like mental strength people have, like our generation, like teenagers, is quite low. Because think about like back, like let's say our parents and stuff, like they had a lot of shit to get through. And I feel like now a lot of people are just like being cushioned at home.
Yeah, because I mean, sorry, I cut you off a bit. I do want to go into this topic because like parents are like, oh, my life was not so tough, but like I want my kid to have everything they want. Like, and it probably, in my opinion, it's probably not the best way to go towards parenting.
Yeah. And
so like you have these kids that just have.
They're like really spoiled and they have no backbone. Exactly,
yeah. They don't have any like sense of, you know, doing things for themselves and sort of sorting out their own problems.
Yeah. It kind of goes back to the, it's not from, like Joe Rogan didn't make this quote, but he kind of said it and he kind of made it very popular. It's like, hard times create hard men, hard men.
Yeah.
Hard men create easy times. Easy times create weak men, and then weak men create hard times. And so it's kind of going back, and I think right now we're in that like easy times and like making like easy men because just a lot of people, like even on social media and stuff, it's like being cushioned. Like you see like on social media, it's like, oh sorry, like trigger warning, there's a gun. Like there's a gun involved in this video. Like oh my god, there's a bit of blood. And I mean I know like there are some like people like faint when they see blood and stuff. But I mean it's getting very
But I'm sure if they never got a warning for when they see blood, like watching TV shows, they'd eventually just be like, oh okay. Like,
yeah.
It's just about being desensitized to it. Of course, I'm not like a clinical psychologist. I don't know how people like. At least I don't know fully how people tick. But it's like if you condition someone to be like, oh no, you know, I have to react badly to this their whole life, they're gonna react badly to it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, like you'll see it a lot where like kids will like at home. It's like sorry, you can't say stupid. You can't say like hell.
Okay, this guy I knew from where I used to live, like prime example of that. Like, do you guys remember the TV show like Lego Ninjago or something? Now this kid, we're probably like 11, 12 at the time, and I was like, yo, this is my favorite show, and I was like, yo, can we watch it? So I turned on TV, switched to the channel, and he comes in and he's like, no, and he started yelling, you can't watch that. And it's just because it was PG, parental guidance, like it's just.
Yeah, I had a friend ages ago, like, so he's probably over this now, but he wasn't allowed to, he was a vegetarian, not by choice for a start, which isn't that bad, but when you're like a kid, depriving them of like proper
Nutrition.
nutrients and stuff, then no, you know what I mean though, because it, like, you can stunt their growth.
Yeah.
Mentally and physically. It can. I'm not saying it does. Anyway, and he was like, "No, I'm not allowed Nerf guns because they're promoting violence," and I was just like. Like, bro, no way. And like, they're probably like over that now. And they were really nice people, but it was just like, really, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, like
He was also like the smartest kid in our class, so it goes to say something about that. But.
I think growing up in the environment was kind of the opposite. Not saying like there was like gun and violence all around me, but like
there were
kind of
bombs. I mean, yeah.
just like times 10 that.
kind of growing up in an environment where it's like I'm like 12 and I'm like watching an MA movie or something, or like I'm playing Call of Duty.
You have older brothers and stuff.
Yeah, I have a lot of older siblings, but I mean, like growing up in that environment, you kind of like let's say by the time I hit 12, I was like more mature than a lot of the people around me, and I think that's like a very good thing, in the sense like it's bad. It's like, oh, don't teach your kids violence, but there's a lot of like, I could get into this more, but I don't want to. But I mean, it's a lot. Me personally, I would say it's a lot better like to teach your kid from that early age, like it kind of exposing them safely to all these things, like let's say playing Call of Duty or something, exposing them safely to all these like things in the world.
Just don't let them play it all day and explain to them like, if you stab someone, not good, you go to prison, right? But it's like, don't do it, but like that's what happens. You know?
Yeah.
Like
that's a real thing that occurs in the world, and you kind of you need to realize that, and like you don't do it though.
Yeah, and so that's kind of why I think kind of like this generation is somewhat screwed, or like they're kind of doomed, and like the future generation is going to
be
have
a thumbnail. You're going to say this generation's doomed.
I was actually thinking of something like that, but I mean, like that's one reason why we're kind of screwed, because no one has that mental fortitude. Yeah. But that's like another reason why I think like this generation is not going to do so well, is because like they're like being cushioned in these environments. Everything just comes so easy, and so you're going to reach that age when you're 20. And you're just going to be like dropped like 50 things on you, like you're going to be exposed to the real world. And it's going to be like, first off, like such a culture shock, but then you're not going to have like most of the skills you actually need to survive. Like that's why I kind of like promote entrepreneurship, so much, is because first it's like discipline. Second, it's like, actually like you're working towards something, and there's so many like different like key skills and features that like you'd learn from, and the amount of knowledge you accumulate just sets you up for life.
Yeah, it's also on like the topic of like the culture shock, and like I get even like you can go into your social skills. Like say if you like, I know our friends, like who I'm talking about, they go to like an all boys school. And it's like, they're great people to talk to for us, but absolutely no game whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it's because, like, if you don't, like, they never actually talk to any girls. And don't flip this, because I'm going to get so much hate for it, for, like, saying this. But it's like, if they're just, like, they have no idea what to say to, like, a woman, like, outside of school, and, like, because they don't see them in school, it's like,
Yeah, they're lacking that sort of social skills for half of the like population.
And I'm not saying like I'm a player, but it's just like I'm not, because I'm not. But it's just like one of those things. It's like they wouldn't even like, they'd probably be too nervous to actually start a conversation.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like a lot of, because I think it's not really the parents' fault, but like kind of like as a parent, let's say like our parents, when you grow up in such a harsh environment, right? When you like so when you grow up in such a harsh environment and it gets to your kids, you're just like, I want to protect them from everything. I know everything that's bad in the world, and I want to protect them. Yeah. But they don't actually realize, like, there's a balance, of course, but they don't realize like what overprotecting or underprotecting actually does to your kid. Overprotecting, like we discussed, it cushions them. Your kid turns out to be a little bitch. And
then when they get a culture shock, they're like a psychopath.
Yeah.
Or like they can turn out really badly.
That's sort of what I was talking about earlier, like with the like overprotecting them, it sort of screws with the like sort of every skill you develop from a young age. Well, majority of them, I mean, like when it comes to socially and like how to deal with certain situations and problems. overprotecting kind of just cuts all those out.
Yeah.
And then, like, as you were saying, like, the underprotection. Obviously, in very severe cases, Timmy does go and get, you know...
Get...
No, believe that as well. Believe that as well. But it's also, like...
Yeah. No, yeah, keep going, sorry.
It's exposing them to something that they might think is normal and is, like, meant to, like, occur.
Yeah.
Like, considerably more often than it should.
Yeah, they'll be like, oh, it's like, but it's like, you can say the same thing about domestic violence. Like, you see people, I could say online, but like, yeah, talking like online about stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, I thought, you know, whoever being like a pedophile or like hitting me, like, I thought like that was just discipline, or that's normal in your family. And it's like, and then it's only when they're like in their 20s or so, and they have like these other friends that they're comfortable talking to it about, that they're like, fuck, that's really not normal.
Yeah.
We can't talk considering we're not in our 20s.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm aware, none of us have been, like, abused. At least not that bad, but, it's just something to think about. Food for thought.
This generation's gonna have it, like, quite hard because there are a lot of unknown threats, right? Like, let's say social media, right?
Especially social media. Everyone takes it as a joke, like, when people are talking about threats like that.
Yeah, like when parents are like, "Oh, social media is bad for you." Like this kind of goes back into like how you raise your kid, because let's say you cut off social media. Now the second like they like turn 18 or something,
they're just gonna get addicted.
It's just like fully jumping in, and like that's what happens with like a lot of kids, where it's like, sorry, you can't have alcohol, you can't like, let's say watch an MA movie. They kind of do all this stuff like behind the parents' back. But I mean, like social media specifically, nobody realizes they're addicted. Like No, like, not a lot of people actually have the self-awareness to actually be like, shit, I'm spending like 8 hours a day on TikTok. And I mean, this is something...
You played Minecraft Dungeons this fucking weekend, dude.
This is something I kind of fell into a few weeks ago, because we had our holidays and I went overseas and stuff. And I kind of realized that like every spare second, like let's say I'm walking in the shops or something, we stop for a second, I'll pull out my phone. And I'll like press on Instagram.
You'll go to like Instagram or TikTok.
Yeah, and like even at home, like I would just realize like shit. Like I'd look at my screen time. It's like 6 hours, and 4 of them is like either on Instagram or TikTok or messages, like texting someone. Yeah. And because like I'll say this about myself, I'm quite self-aware. Like that's something like I do believe I'm like a good trait I have. Like I'm actually able to pick up on like those like issues and stuff like I have with myself. And I kind of realized that I'm just like, shit, like that's a real problem. So like I've kind of like stopped. My screen time's like quite low, but it's a lot of people don't have that self-awareness, first off, and second, they don't actually know. I feel like being an entrepreneur, being in the space, and especially me, like I'm
it's not even like entrepreneur, it's like the self, like you
like self-care.
No, I don't want to say self-help, because like that is the industry itself is kind of like poisonous. But like being on like, okay, even if you're like in social media, you see so many things. It's like, get off this app, blah blah blah. If you're on that side of it, like that can promote like self-awareness for that specific kind of thing, like self-help or self-discipline, not entrepreneurship. Because I know like quite a few people, and they're like, yeah, no, I'm not disciplined at all. I get up at like 10 a.m, 11 a.m, and I go to bed at like 2, 3, and they've made 40 grand this month or 50.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know.
Yeah. So because I don't believe entrepreneurship entirely is like that. Like, and of course it's not. But I mean, like, kind of like what we discussed earlier. You learn like self-discipline and stuff, and especially like you see on Instagram, it's like you want to make money. Stop wasting your time on like social media and like actually put it towards learning something. So I mean, entrepreneurship kind of promotes that already. But I mean, there is also that self-help side. Like, hey, I want to like improve my life, and you kind of do that. And it's always the first step is stop social media. Like, cut down on your hours.
But yeah, it was really interesting because you're talking about like the self-awareness thing, and it goes into like the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? Don't fucking shit on me for this. If you clip this, don't. Yeah. I thought the camera was pointed. Anyway, how like a lot of the time, like, well, not a lot of the time, when that study was done, and like more studies, it found that like it was really interesting. It's not just like you think you're smarter; it's like you think you're better than someone else, and that's like a kind of a common misconception, right? So it's like for the smarter thing, it's like they had a group of engineers and at multiple companies, and like 30 to 40% of them like on average, thought they were in the top 5%.
Yeah.
And that was the same. I think it was 81% of, or it was 81 or 88% of American drivers think they're in like the top 10% or think they're a good driver, and it's like they're really not. Like on average, they're not. But you know, and stuff like that. Yeah. Sorry, I kind of ran out of breath. That was a mouthful.
It's very important to have that self-confidence, right? And when people always like Dunning-Kruger effect.
But there's a point where like confidence becomes being cocky.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, it's kind of a problem because if you're not confident at all, like if you say like, no, I can't think I'm good, you know, statistically I'm not.
Yeah.
You're kind of just pushing yourself down, like for no reason.
Statistically, you're a bitch now.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing, especially in sports. Like, I think that's a big reason why you see like those athletes say like, I don't know, Kobe was more on the humble side, but if you go like, say, LeBron, Michael Jordan, Conor McGregor, like just to name a few, Ronaldo, Messi, like they all are like, yeah, I'm the best. And it's like, sure, like they are really good. Some of them you could say are the best. But they're
getting to their heads.
You can say like it goes to their head that they're like, yeah, I am the best, and it helps them perform better. Like if they're thinking to themselves, fuck, I'm so bad at this sport, like even if they're just saying, oh yeah, I'm the best, it's like they have to blow their ego up, because if they're saying they're doing, like they're gonna do bad, they will do worse.
Yeah. I saw this like old Japanese like quote. I can't entirely remember what it was. But it was like, don't speak badly about yourself, because like the inner you still hears that and it doesn't know the difference between like joking or whatnot.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like, it is quite true and it's very realistic, because say you think like you're doing a presentation at like a business or something, or you're going to an interview and you're like, oh, I'm gonna fuck this up, like, I'm not even prepared at all. But you're probably not gonna get the job, or you're not gonna do well at the presentation. But if you're confident, you like, they'll see that, and like it just, you're sort of emitting that sort of vibe that you're capable.
Yeah.
And that goes like, it goes along for a lot of things, and it, you know, it's a very useful attribute.
On that, God, we're going on like a big tangent, but I saw this I saw this video the other day, and it's like why confidence is overpowered, and it's literally that, like why overconfidence is overpowered, because you can walk into like most places and be like, no, I'm fine, like it's like whatever it is, like whatever problem it is, don't clip that, because it's like, no, I'm fine, I'm like a fucking idiot. Like it's like when you see like YouTubers, they'll walk in like high vis gear with a ladder, they'll walk into a cinema and just not say anything, or like say like, yeah, we're meant to be here. No stuttering, like all like full confidence. Yeah, like just go right on through. And it's just like,
it's such a useful thing to have. Like, obviously you need to like differentiate between like cockiness and confidence, but like
cockiness is more showing off, like, or arrogance. It's like you can say you're overconfident, but that's annoying in a social setting. Whereas in like a normal, like, I mean, like social setting is in with your friends. Yeah. But if you just like can turn that on and off, it's like when you're in a game, like for sport.
Yeah, true.
Or video games, and then it's like when you're like when you're in like a job interview, it's like, yeah, I'm like you wouldn't even have. It's like you're talking to the interviewer, like, yeah, you wouldn't even have anyone that can compete with like my skills at this. And the competitor would be like, well, bit up yourself, but like, you know, he's probably pretty good.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
You go.
I sort of like, I don't want to like, I don't know how to word this very well, and I'm not trying to like feed my ego or anything, but I feel like I'm kind of capable of turning like that confidence sort of thing on and off.
Well, if you don't have any, like, if you don't care, then like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, true. And
no, I'm just saying, because that's like I can kind of do the same thing. If you're just like, I don't care what this person thinks, then all your social anxiety goes away.
Yeah, exactly. Like that, I feel like that specifically I use so much.
Yeah.
When it comes to your career, I think you just need to know the difference between I'm the best and I am good.
Yeah.
Or I'm the best, and I'm saying I'm the best.
Yeah. Like, if you're saying like I'm the best, is like there's like a lot of pros and cons to it. If you're saying I'm the best, no one is better than me, then first off, it's like you don't have really much room to growth, because like room to grow because you think you're the top, like you're top shit. And second, like it is like very cocky, and you're kind of like bringing that like egotistical air to yourself. But if you're saying I am good and you're confident in your skills, that's a lot. That's actually where it's like, hey, I can like go into a job interview and nail it. Like if you're actually confident of what you can do, compared to just say, I walk in, I don't give a fuck who you're interviewing. I'm the best candidate.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself. Yeah. Like there's that very fine line.
I was sorry.
No, you don't finish.
I was.
Shut up.
No,
I was reading a book, Matthew McConaughey, Green Lights. You've seen me reading it.
Yeah.
And the prime example of like exactly sort of that.
When can I buy it for 10% off? Anyway, go on.
What?
No, nothing.
Keep going.
I get what he said. And because he's like an actor, and he was going in for like a.
I thought he was a singer.
Cuba, shut the fuck up.
He was going in for an audition for like. He was going to be one of like the side sort of characters. He was like, no, I want to be the lead. I want to be the lead role in this. So he went because he had already like gotten the side character role. He went up to like the person who you'd go on audition in front of, and he was like, I want the lead role. Like, and he was just like, I am the best, sort of the best in the business. And he didn't say that, like, but that's kind of just what he implied. And he got it, and that sort of sparked his.
Like
fame.
his acting career.
Yeah, exactly. Well, sort of yes and no, but yeah, it was kind of.
One thing that I think is really interesting, kind of like with this generation, is that transfer between like the old money making mindset and the new one. There's a really big like change in mindset that's kind of come with this new generation. The old generation was kind of like, hey, let me go to uni for 4 years, let me work for like 20, just in the shittest job possible, get a house, have a family, do it like the whole like standard. Oh, are those quotes?
I'm looking for quotes.
Yeah, that's all good. Kind of like the whole standard like middle class like lifestyle. But I think kind of like with this new generation, and it comes back to like the social media thing because of like like dopamine like irregulation because being on TikTok it's like short bursts and anyway, it's kind of coming back to like that impatience when it comes to like let's say making money, and no one like there are times where it's like you put like $10 into some shitty like NFT or something and like people have made lots of money off it like this like by chance, and now they think they're top shit.
But that's like the keyword, like by chance.
Yeah, and everyone is kind of starting to lose that like grind mindset, and I know it's kind of like publicized a lot, like you want to make money, you got to eat shit for like Gary Vee kind of, and it is publicized a lot, and some people like I'm in that like grind mode, but I know you want to say something.
I ate shit for 10 years! That was so funny. Well, that was viral. That was hilarious.
But everyone's kind of starting to lose that. Like people think like, don't talk to me, I'm grinding, but they're not actually grinding.
They'll do stuff for like a week.
Yeah, they grind.
Like, bro, I've been grinding for too long. I need to take a break.
Yeah,
like, bruh.
But like this generation, like the whole like inattentiveness. A lot of people are just kind of losing that like long-term patience when it comes to this stuff. Like let's say me, right? I'm not an example of that. I'm kind of like the opposite because I've been in this space for like 2 years, right?
Sorry, I just thought of something that I told Toby, and I need to say it.
I've kind of like taught myself that because I know like a lot of the time in this space, people be like, yeah, I want to make money online. They put in for a month. They're like, no, everything is shit. They put like 10 minutes of effort into like looking into like affiliate marketing or drop shipping or NFTs or crypto or anything, and they just give up. And I've seen a lot of people fall into that trap, and I've kind of conditioned myself in a sense, in a good way, to be like, this stuff isn't short term.
Yeah.
Like I definitely did have like when I first started like back in like 2020 like lockdown, I definitely did have that mindset like, yeah, I'm gonna start this store and I'm gonna make all my money, I'm gonna quit school or whatever. But like now I'm kind of
not good choices.
I'm kind of glad I've developed that like long-term mindset, and it's definitely something you work on. It's not something you just like have. It's I'm glad I've developed that because this is something that'll like last my whole life, and I think that's something people need to realize, that when it does come to being like an entrepreneur, and when it does come to making money, it's not a silver bullet. It's not something like just like get rich quick scheme. I think that's a big problem a lot of people our age have. They kind of just get into it. If it doesn't work instantly, they're done.
It's kind of like it's not an insta skip when it comes to those sort of things.
Oh fuck.
And that mindset goes for everything. Like, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Like obviously in your case it's perfect for what you're going for, but it's just like everything. Like if you're learning a new language, or like you're going into like playing an instrument, or like anything, it's such a vital thing that a lot of people don't have, and and if they do, they don't utilize a lot. Like, and they might have it, but they let go of it, and you made me forget.
But that if anyone has read Mastery by Robert Greene, same guy who wrote the 48 Laws of Power, it kind of goes like in the book, it really does say like the whole like 10,000 hours mindset. If you actually want to master anything, it's kind of that like mindset of like you truly need to be. Did you pause it? No, I didn't pause that. No. You truly do, like in the book it kind of talks about like just being a student. Like, not like, oh, I'm big shit, top shit. It's just, you have to be a student for such a long time to actually learn the game and to get those 10,000 hours before you've actually mastered it.
What do you reckon about like Gen Z and stuff wasting money on like luxury items?
Like what?
Like, you know, like, oh yeah, I want to spend fucking $3,000 on a chain, or like, you know, $1,000 for this Apple Watch band, shit like that, you know? Like stuff that's completely pointless.
I think that just comes down to just lack of like education and knowledge. And this is actually one of my topics, but a lot of people say like, oh, it's just because we weren't taught in school, and like in this case that's actually correct, because
but
like
it's such a weird thing to teach in school. You know? Like, don't spend your money on luxury goods. It's like, I'm gonna spend my money on whatever the fuck I want, you know.
But it like with that specifically, I think it's literally rich dad poor dad. Like, you learn that just asset liability. Not a whole lot of people are actually educated on what.
He changed tabs and it went to credit card fraud.
Goddamn.
Anyway,
and it's kind of like that, like rich dad poor dad knowledge, where it's just like difference between asset and a liability and like all that sort of stuff. And I think just not a whole lot of people actually understand that.
Yeah.
And second of all, I don't think a whole lot of people actually care. People are just like, you know, I want this gold chain, I'm going to go spend money on it.
Yeah, and it's going to give me status, and my homeboys are going to think I'm dripped out. Toby, you can't read that out loud, by the way.
No, I know.
Anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so...
Naughty boy.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's just a status thing, and we could go into that more, considering it's a Gen Z kind of thing. But yeah, like, just, our generation's pretty big on status, it feels like. You know, like, and even with the rise of stores like Culture King and stuff, and it's like, don't get me wrong, their clothes and stuff, it looks awesome, but wearing something that's theirs is like, it is purely for status. For status, yeah. Same with brands that have been around for ages, like Adidas, Nike, even Puma. It's just like, it's one of those things, and it's almost like a lot of the time people owning like Mercedes and stuff, and this is hard for me to say considering I love cars, but it's like, it's pointless owning a really, really good car like a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Like, a Ferrari is not as reliable as a Toyota Camry, but people still like Ferraris.
Like, it's truly to just stroke your ego.
Yeah. Unless you're like a race car driver.
And I mean, of course, it's like once you get to a point of like just wealth, it doesn't actually really matter, but it still does go back to that just being a status symbol.
Yeah.
Well, one thing, like, I kind of mentioned it earlier, like, just, like, with the whole school systems, I think a lot of people our age, like, especially when they leave school and they're, like, in a really shit job, they blame it on the school system itself. It's like, well, I didn't learn how to do my taxes in school, I didn't learn how to make money or, like, balance a check or whatever it may be, and, like, although those are valid, I feel like people are using that as an excuse as to why, like, let's say, like, you leave school and you're in a shit job. They use that as an excuse as to why they're in that position. It's not, hey, you spent all your free time, like, doing fuck all, or you didn't actually try in school, or you just, you know, didn't really do much with your life. They kind of use that as an excuse to just be like, oh, it's the school system, oh, it's the government, it's, like, society is against me. And I think it's a very toxic mindset when it, like, when you're actually trying to get yourself out of that hole you've done.
We live in a society. He can do the impression so well. But I had something really good to say off that. Let me think. Oh yeah, and in this day and age, it's like you can't really make the excuse, oh, school didn't teach me something, and it's something trivial, like, oh, how to do my taxes and stuff. And it's like, either you hire someone to do it, or you just look up, you can look up, how do I do my taxes? Like, and it'll come up like thousands of options, and it's like, you can't make an excuse that's like, oh, I didn't know how to do this. Like, you're an idiot, you know.
Well, I do think that it is definitely an issue.
Unless you don't have access to internet. Then it's just like, it's just unlucky.
But it is definitely an issue. A lot of the stuff that is like taught in school, like you're kind of taught like how to do 50 other different things against like stuff that you actually need in life, and it's a valid argument. But I'm just against when you use that as a reason as to why you're in a bad situation.
Just briefly on the school topic. I know everyone said that, like everyone always says like schools are made for workers, not for thinkers or entrepreneurs or whatever it is.
Thonker.
Shut up, Toby. But like actually, I saw a thing the other day, and I may be wrong on some of the details, but the gist of it was Rockefeller donated 1.3 billion to make the modern school system, and it was quote unquote, "I want a nation of workers, not a nation of thinkers."
Really?
Like that was literally what he said, and it's like at the time it's like moral maybe, but he's like really rich, so it doesn't matter. And that's what founded the modern school system.
Shit.
So it's like you can still be smart from it, but you can't be like entrepreneurially smart or like
Okay, this is my opinion. When people like the school system is made to like pump out workers, I think that is correct, right? Like it is, but it's not bad, right? Let's say the school system is made to, let's say it was made to create thinkers and entrepreneurs. You kind of, all the people, let's say, who don't have that drive, who are like, let's just say dumb, and like they're truly not thinkers. Now you're putting them in a situation where like they have no prior knowledge of anything. At least in our current school system, all the people who don't actually have ambition or like are just kind of like cruisers in life, they're actually being put towards a direction that can help the economy, help the greater good.
Yeah.
Sorry, because people make the argument. Shut up, Toby. People make the argument that like, like that, and it's true, but it's also kind of, in a sense, good the way it is. It would be good if there was more like educational resources for, I guess, being an entrepreneur, like besides the $1,000 courses and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, it would ruin everything if people were just like, we're just going to teach them how to run their own business. It's like, who's going to buy from it then? Like, it would undercut everyone until nothing's worth anything. Like if you're, like depending on the business you go into, and it was just, and some people, you're right, but a lot of people are just like, I want to be a dentist or a vet or whatever. And it's like, if you enjoy doing that, like sure, go for it. And it's not, bad for anyone really.
Yeah.
Like jobs that benefit the economy. Anyway, go on, Yusuf.
No, what were you going to say?
I'm kidding.
The idea that, like how you were saying, it's not necessarily a bad thing that school systems pump out workers, essentially. I do, like, quite agree. But as also Cooper stated, if they had more, like, learning resources or more, like, places to go for different, like, sort of aspects of the work environment.
Yeah.
Like entrepreneurial sort of stuff, as an example, which isn't really worker-based, it's your, like, employer-based.
I mean, you got commerce, that's kind of close enough.
Yeah. One thing I did want to end the episode on was I had actually one friend who'll probably be listening to this when this posts. He kind of reached out to me. You know him. He was in our class, and he kind of reached out to me and said, "Hey, like, how do I start like learning about all this business stuff?" And one thing I kind of told him was, I didn't tell him this explicitly, but kind of just learn. You don't really kind of learn how to run a business just by starting a business. I'd probably just say try and absorb as much knowledge as you can around the business space and whatever it may be you're interested in, and just try and absorb as much knowledge. And the best way you can do that is through books. So yeah, like this guy, like our friend, he kind of recently said like, hey, what books, like I want to get into business, what books should I be reading? And kind of just to help out everyone, I actually kind of set this up beforehand. In our bio, right, in our link tree, there you click on that and there's a doc, and basically in that doc I wrote the 15 books, the first 15 books you should read about business and about kind of learning about like kind of people in the whole space. And so if you're in that spot where you're kind of just like, hey, I want to make money online but I don't know how to, you kind of starting on the entrepreneurial mindset, and you're watching this, go to that bio. I put down those 15 books. It's kind of like 48 Laws of Power, Think and Grow Rich, all the basics, and just start there.
Do you have the PDF, sir?
No,
that's fine. I'll just okay, after this, so it'll be once this is released. We'll also have the PDF for those books you can download. Fingers crossed, there's no viruses on them. And yeah, and then you can just download those from there for completely free.
No, I actually we don't need to do that because there's a website called Z Library.
Yeah,
I
was
told
just,
you about
no,
this.
but just to make it easier.
Yeah, just to make it easier. And if you go into that doc, there's a link. Is the website called Z Library. Basically, they have like 10 million books, just free ebooks. And so really, you have no excuse to kind of say like, oh, it's the school system, kind of like what we mentioned. You don't really have any excuse. We're kind of giving you. I told you, like on that doc, it's kind of all the stuff you need to start. I'm giving you a free link to actually learning that shit. So I'm telling you right now, if you're not learning and you're not doing anything, it's your fault.
All right.
Look at the camera.
I am looking at the camera.
You're looking at me.
But I kind of wonder
Don't
sometimes.
put an
with my
IP
eyes.
grabber on it.
Huh?
Don't put an IP grabber
I
on
won't.
it.
I promise, guys. But okay, let's wrap up the episode with that book and quote.
Alright, my book was Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter by 50 Cent Curtis Jackson.
Have you read it?
I'm reading it, but I didn't have a book to... Because you always tell me to bring a book, but I can't read a book in a week, dude. I'm fucking slow as. But I've started reading it, and it's literally just an autobiography. I've had heaps of good things about it. So far, it's been pretty good. He got shot 9 times.
Yeah.
Unlucky.
No.
Oh my god.
No,
No, and he's still alive.
50 Cent. 50 Cent.
Oh, 50 Cent.
Yeah, I've actually kind of read about his story. It's very like inspiring and very interesting because like at the age of 5 he was like let out onto the streets or something. Like his parents died actually, so it was kind of like Batman. But I mean, do you have a quote? Good one.
The cold water doesn't get warmer if you jump later.
Redo that so we can clip it.
Okay, now ask me again then.
Cooper, what's your clip? I mean, Cooper, what's your quote?
The cold water doesn't get warmer if you jump later.
Dun, 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 dun.
And basically that's just don't be like you can even say if you're like I've actually done this exact thing. I was gonna go ziplining, right? And then I was like exactly like that. I was like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore because that's really high up and I don't want to do it, you know? And it's just the same with anything. You're like, oh, I might start a business, I might not. You just go for it, man. It's not going to, sure, you might get a better opportunity to do it, but it's not going to get much easier. Like, you can only do so much preparation for it. And yeah.
Do you have a book and quote?
I have the book and quote. I was gonna get you to hotspot me.
No.
So I could find my quote.
You stop hotspotting me. I'm not going to do shit for you.
You're not gonna take a shit for me.
I'm-
My book is Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey.
Keep going.
I do highly recommend it. I'm about halfway through it, and holy shit, man, it is a really good book. And so yeah, go read it. It's fucking amazing. And the quote was, this isn't the one I wanted to do, but it's also another one that's like pretty good. They're kind of on the confidence sort of topic.
Wait, do you wanna set it up like for the TikTok?
What?
So, Toby, what's your quote? And then you say it like.
Yeah. Okay.
Toby-
Wait. Let me like chat over it. Intermission, guys.
Toby, what's your quote?
Well, my quote is, it's actually from the book Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. It's, don't walk into a place like you want to buy it. Walk into it like you own it.
All right, guys.
And, wait. And I just want to say, in case you don't really understand what I'm saying, it sort of it sort of follows along like the confidence sort of thing. Like like Matthew McConaughey's case, when he wanted that lead role, he didn't go in there like, oh, I'm a pretty good option. He went in there like, you're gonna make me the option, the only option, and I'm gonna get it. And that's sort of like what the quote like implies.
Yeah. And I don't need you guys to say, but kind of my book is called Calm. It's kind of something I've been reading over the past like week or two, and it's I don't want to get into it much, but it's basically the most important thing I took from it is being calm isn't actually like a set of habits. It's not like when someone yells at me, I just sit there like this, like you stay super calm. It's more an understanding of the world around you and just looking through that scope. And basically that scope is just like just trying to understand first how people work and how just like shit goes on in your day, and just by knowing that you're able to realize that. No, so the scope is kind of like just understanding and knowing like the shit that goes on around you, and being able to stay calm knowing that. Like one example is, it was kind of just like we've kind of talked about this before, but one example is kind of like when life throws shit at you that you have no control over. A lot of people. Fuck you. When life throws stuff at you that you can't really control and you have no control over, it's kind of just that understanding and just knowing how to self-regulate yourself and your emotions to kind of understand that better. That was really shit. And my quote is, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality," and that's by Seneca.
Dude, that's straight fact.
Oh my god, that's flames, man.
that's
No,
flames.
I do like it.
Yeah, kind of like the idea of that is, you guys have probably heard it before. It's it kind of branches off the idea that it's like worrying is suffering twice, and so kind of where it says we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. It's kind of saying when you're over stressing and thinking and being anxious about like what the future holds, you're suffering twice, and you're suffering more in your imagination than you are in reality. Like a lot of the time, let's say it's like you're doing a public speech. It's like, oh, everyone's gonna hate me or whatever. You're suffering more in your imagination, in your own mind, than you will actually be on that stage public speaking. And that's just a very cool thought. But
I agree. But we're not a philosophy podcast,
We
so
are.
let's wrap this up, guys.
thank you guys so much for watching. I was gonna clap, but this is kind of like, thank you guys.
It's been a pleasure.
It has been a
recording with you
pleasure.
guys. It's been a pleasure. I'm retiring, so.
Alright, guys,
Yeah.
I'm a middle-aged man, my hip's dislocated, and I've got a bounce.
Alright, we hope you guys have a great day.
Cheers. See you later, gang. Have a
Bye-bye.
good one.